Go.
All right, today I'm going to do the safety meeting because our topic is discipline. And I think for the reason this is a topic, disciplinary actions, it's one of them that's required by OSHA that all employees are notified of and understand every year. And obviously, if anybody has any questions, this is always a big topic. I think a lot of people, it's something they like to be involved in.
Sorry, sir.
They like to be in the know, I should say.
No.
A lot of times, it's easy for me to say, well, it's none of your business, but it is your business. I mean, it's our company, and I don't take it bad. I can't always share information, and we'll get into it, but I don't take it bad when employees want to know, and I think typically one of the things I see when it comes to discipline is a frustration when employees think people that had infractions didn't get a harsh enough punishment. But a lot of times you don't know the whole backstory or everything behind it, and maybe you don't even know what the punishment is. I don't typically go share that information with other employees unless I think it's going to benefit the company. But I will tell you when I will share that information is if the employee that got disciplined is out there telling his story and it's not accurate. Because if I have to clear the air so everybody knows what's accurate, if they're not saying anything, that's their business, then I'm probably not going to say anything. But if they're out there telling somebody how they got a bad deal and then it forces me to put the facts out there. So the scope of the disciplinary, I'll just talk on this real quick. Scope. Prairie, we take disciplinary action for violations of law, violations of policy, and basically violations of common sense. And progressive discipline is something Prairie implements. When I say progressive discipline, it just means discipline will be more severe as there's more frequency. And that doesn't mean, if you go roll a truck that you're going to get a verbal warning because, it also elevates to meet what the infraction was. Disciplinary action taken by Prairie, one thing I stress is it's never punishment. I know people don't really, that's a hard concept to grasp, but it's never punishment. It's intended to correct behavior that's detrimental to the company and others. Though many may think so, it's never personal. Obviously, when you get consequences put upon you, losing your bonus or other things, I get that you're going to feel that's personal. I'm telling you, it's never personal. It's just to change the behavior. So that's the purpose of it. Next. So, responsibilities and applicability. The rules apply to everyone, okay? Same rules apply to everybody. Discipline will be carried out by management, which includes field supervisors. Who do the rules apply to? Everybody. Okay? I've said this before, but when I first took over in this role, the first couple people that were terminated were actually supervisors. So, and that was because of professionalism and talking to people with respect. Just like I don't let anybody sit there and scream at dispatchers, yell at mechanics. I know what happens, but if it gets to me, there will be disciplinary action. But supervisors have a job to do, and I know that you might not like what they have to say, and they may have to even take disciplinary action, but they should be talking to you with respect, and that's how we operate. It should never be this screaming. That's when it gets to what I said it isn't, which is personal. Thank you. Circumstances leading to disciplinary action. It can be a multitude of things. I'm not going to read the next slide to you, but so circumstances, basically not following company rules, not following the producer's rules, not following the law, and not following instructions. So if you're told to do something, make sure you follow the directions. Besides following the rules, what is the best way to avoid discipline? It's not a gimme. Ask questions. All right, ask questions. Don't come in with this mentality of better to ask forgiveness, than permission. I don't buy into that. I'm going to tell you should have asked. You want to come to me with I didn't know better? I said then you should have asked. And that's how it should be. And I'll get to why that is later on. So make sure you ask questions. Ask dispatch, a supervisor, ask a gold hat. Take the monkey off your back. I can tell you, if you ask, I'm going to hold the person you asked accountable, not you, if you make a mistake. Always ask. And, the supervisor, the gold hat, manager, whoever will be accountable for the decision they made, for what they told you to do. But that's why we have a hierarchy like that, so that there isn't ever that question of what you should do out there. Okay, the next one. Obviously, you can't list every infraction, so just put an effort into your behavior, attitude, equipment, all these things, like pre-trips and all that. That's what will avoid incidents and people receiving discipline. I already covered some of that. So next slide. Procedures. This is the progressive discipline that I talked about. And we have several things. We have a lot more than what's listed here as far as what disciplinary action options are. So, some of those are counseling, verbal warning, written warning, suspension, and final warning, termination. And we'll use whatever is appropriate for the violation. And the goal is to correct unsafe behavior, like I said. A goal of progressive discipline is not to punish, it's to prevent. And then prevent employees from getting to a higher level of discipline. I've said this since the day I started here as safety director. Discipline is not meant to be punishment. So when you think about, geez, you took my bonus away, sat me for 2 days suspension or whatever, my goal is not to beat you down or make you feel bad. My goal is that we don't go to that next level, okay? If you're suspended, then what I'm hoping is we don't get to termination. Anybody who knows me knows job security is very important to me, and I want people to feel secure. I couldn't stand it when I went from law enforcement into the oil industry. I couldn't believe how people were just discarded so quickly. And I don't want that here. I want people, if they want to be here and if they're trying to be here, I don't want somebody. If you're doing a good job and your intentions are good, you shouldn't ever worry about keeping or losing your job unless it's your choice to leave. Because if you're doing what we ask you to do, I want you to have that job security. So with that said, disciplinary action, though nobody likes it, the intent of it is to keep you here and to help you from going to that next level. If you get a counseling or a verbal warning, that's to hope you don't get to a final warning or get suspended. And it has its purpose. And none of it's fun, but there's a reason for it. And the reason is retention and to keep you here and teach you the rules. Okay, next. Let's see. So as far as the procedures, investigating incidents could be anybody. It could be a supervisor. It could be HR. It could be safety. We'll likely investigate incidents, but we will get the employee side of the story. One thing I've stressed is if there's a disciplinary action, then get that person's side of the story. And I know for a fact, is Kyle in here somewhere?
No.
Hiding back there. I know, like when I was safety director one time, Kyle sent me all these reports of all these disciplinary actions that we were going to take and all this. And as I got to talking to Kyle and I sent him back, and what was this guy? Well, what did he say about this or what did he say about that? I'm not trying to throw Kyle under the bus. He was like, well, but he's like, well, I didn't talk to him. Like, he emailed me later, and I think his email said, just disregard all those disciplinary actions. All right, so we got better at the process, and now we do a good investigation. We do talk to the person. We get their side of the story. There's a lot of variables. Even when you make mistakes, there might be a reason that you made that mistake. So we try to give you every benefit of the doubt and get your side of the story. But disciplinary action applies to everyone. Management is held accountable for their actions as well. Guidelines. Enforcing rules can be difficult. We certainly have managers that struggle with this. I've seen it. It's not easy to discipline somebody. Communication is the key. I think the best part of discipline is just to prevent it from happening in the first place. Just communicate, hold people accountable, and I am a firm believer you can't hold people accountable unless they know what the expectations are. So, that's why we have these safety meetings, and Prairie's has a lot of safety meetings, more than most companies, and I think it's because it's important for us that you know the expectations, always. Next, there's some, I didn't get that one yet. I didn't get it either. I checked my email just before I came up. Trivia. I don't know that anybody would get that first one. When was OSHA enacted? I will tie this into what we're talking about, though.
1955.
1970. Thanks. So why was OSHA formed?
Protect employees.
Exactly right. Congress created to ensure safe and healthful working conditions. What were the statistics in 1970 compared to today? Any idea?
One in 100. One in a million.
Well, I will say that OSHA and the intent of OSHA obviously worked, because in 1970 an estimated 14,000 workers were killed on the job, which is about 38 a day, and in 2016 it was 5,190, which is 14 a day, and that's also with employment doubling to over 145 million workers. So why do we talk about this today? We talk about worker safety, obviously, because safety is important in Prairie, but it's also an OSHA requirement that we cover this with employees. So I added this last part. 2 most hazardous jobs according to OSHA. What are they?
Logging.
Road construction.
Truck driving.
Truck driving is number 1. Truck driving. Even more, it used to be law enforcement. It used to be a lot of different things. So it's truck driving, probably just because of the sheer numbers out there. And then traffic accidents. And another one that's high on the list in the top 10 is oil field. So truck driving in the oil field has probably got to be at the top. So remember that and think about that. But that's an actual statistic, and I know that when we looked at these a while back, that OSHA, had truck driving at the top, and oil field was in the top 10, and a combination of that is obviously hazardous. So make sure everybody's being careful all the time. Do not just your driving, but your equipment and everything else that can lead to a crash. Okay, next. My clicker. I don't have anything on Texas.
Nothing?
Well, I do, but they didn't send anything. I don't want to speak for them. Go ahead if you have anything.
I just think, Texas actually surpassed us on Saturday for volume hauled, so yay to them.
That has got to be a first. Yeah. They've actually done pretty good. Texas has actually done pretty good. Their volume has been pretty consistent.
So we delivered.
I do have a couple things I want to go.
Wyoming operations. So if anybody has anything they want to talk about. Anybody else?
Anybody else?
Can anybody tell me what these are? That's not a mechanic.
Input shafts on tranny.
Angry pine cones.
Correct.
Angry pine cone.
Does anybody have an idea of how this happens?
Yes.
That's not a mechanic.
Complete management on the
Okay.
Dumping
Anybody?
The clutch. Dumping the clutch under load.
Correct.
Loaded.
Stuck.
Teaching people from school to drive trucks.
That's how you do dumping the clutch.
This right here. Anybody tell me what this is? That's not a mechanic.
Drive shaft.
Yoke for rear end.
Correct. It's a yoke. Driver was stuck. And he kept trying to get out. He dumped the clutch. Broke the rear end. When you're stuck, just stop. Wait for help. Don't dig yourself a hole. Don't sit there and keep spinning and spinning and spinning your tires, throwing your chains off the truck. Like, you're only making it worse.
Can you tie that into today's topic? Well, I bet you can.
That yoke is actually split in 3 places.
Yeah.
It's grenaded.
Yeah. So you guys can take a look. This is just when you're stuck, just stop. And then chain up. Yes, we just had a really bad snowstorm, and it's amazing that guys are going out there on the lease roads, not chaining up, getting stuck, causing the people behind them to get stuck. Pumpers can't get to the field. Water drivers can't get to the water tanks. Like, it just causes a huge disaster. If you chain up, and you get stuck, we gave it a go. Like, there's no repercussions or corrective action done because we told you to go in there. You did everything you could to possibly get in there and not get stuck. But you got stuck, and just stop. I cannot reiterate that enough. And then just chaining. When you get to that lease road, you should stop. Well, it looks okay. But then you get a mile in, and now you're stuck. You slid right off the road. Well, it looked okay till now. But there was no difference between that road, really. It was ice covered at the beginning, and it was ice covered going into the corner.
If you think about, do I need to chain up? You probably should.
Mm-hmm.
We say that all the time. Chain up, chain up, chain up. Because a lot of the time, you can have a really smooth day. And I spent a lot of time in Cheyenne this last week. And those guys, they chain up to get on the pad, to get into the lact. I mean, it could be 6 times a day. And they still got stuck. But you know what? They did everything they possibly could, and they just stopped, and we were able to just get them out with a pickup or another truck. It makes it really easy. But the more you do it with chaining, your first time might take you a half hour to an hour. Your second time, it's going to take you a half hour. Third time you do it that day, probably take you like 10 minutes. Because you just get better and better and better the more you do it. That's all I have.
All right.
I got one other thing. I want to clear the air here. I've been hearing some random rumors. I want to know what you guys are hearing. Bring it up so we can clear the air.
What's on Facebook?
I mean, what's some of the stuff you're hearing about Prairie out there that
I've heard we've been bought out.
we have not been bought out?
I've been hearing that for as long as I've been here.
Pat Hughes still owns the company, and he still wants to grow, and he wants to keep you guys all secure in your jobs. What was the one you heard the other day, Eric?
Huh?
Rumors going around the Prairie.
Oh, we're going to be shut down for 30 days.
Shut down for 30 days.
That would really suck on my part.
So we did just recently have a rollover. There was no violations found, no damage, no release. There's not going to be any repercussions from that. I think that's where that rumor started. We did recently go through a DOT audit. We got some things we need to comply with, but we're already in the works of being compliant with DOT. Should be all right. One thing I will ask all you guys, if you get stuck, truck breaks down, do not leave your truck on the side of the roadway, on a public roadway, if it's placarded. We did just get what was that citation, David?
Abandoned vehicle on the roadway. Even though they were off the shoulder, they went to check the area where they were going to try to limp it to work on it. Nobody stayed with the truck, so it was unattended, placarded vehicle on a highway. So that's what that one was about.
And he was literally 100 yards away from the truck. but he was not near the truck.
That's, there's some common sense with that, but I mean, it is one of the FMCSA rules that we need to abide by. Those ones are typically bad on our record because they're a hazmat violation. Same as not having a copy of your last hauled product. But if you guys are hearing any other rumors,
A couple of comments online that we're going bankrupt.
Wow.
Okay.
Want to speak to that one, Alan?
I'll speak. I'll just speak openly to everything. I don't know where the rumors come from, and they're frustrating because I think they impact morale sometimes. I think they even impact what I said is important as job security. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's people that left because they didn't get facts. So what I would say is, we're pretty transparent. If you ever have questions, just make sure you're asking the right people. Talk to a supervisor, a manager, or come ask me. If there's rumors started and it's not accurate, I'll hold you accountable if you're the one starting that stuff. If you have the concern, just ask. I mean, I don't think Prairie's ever lied to anybody about anything. So right now it's, there's a little bit of volatility and paranoia out in the oil field. You had the pipe, the Saddle Butte pipeline came on and we lost 10,000 barrels to that pipeline. Other companies have lost barrels to those pipelines. So what does that do to trucking? Trucking, last year at this time, we could charge anything we wanted. Everybody was screaming for trucks. And there wasn't enough trucks to go around. It's not the case right now. So now we're looking at, we're working constantly, the management team, supervisors, and what helps us is our reputation, not, the customer service, the going above and beyond. It's not blowing smoke. Right now, I'm bidding right now on some wells, and literally the producer is in our corner. So the producer is actually saying to the customer who's buying the oil, please go with Prairie. We have a great relationship with these guys. We've worked with them before, and that's what helps a lot. And there are people that maybe they'll even pay a little extra for that. But rates are affected by this, and it has its impact. Volume is down, and we're doing everything we can to keep it and increase it and keep the volume, keep the drivers busy. I'm not too worried about anything. I would like to see us grow on the field services side, which we've done a lot. We've increased our customers on water. It's just the volume and the routes are, it's changed. It's different. It's not all the production. I hope to get there. We still have a lot of great relationships out there, and I'd like to build and do more with that. Starting January 1st, we'll be the only company hauling for Shell in Wyoming. And, there's other customers that have noticed what we've done, but these people that have lost, there's a lot of companies out there lowering the rates to nothing, basically, just to push people out. We've seen it happen. We've seen it just a couple years ago with a lot of companies, whether it was Gibson or Bridger and all these companies that were here, and rates, some companies will come in. Sometimes they get burned. I remember, when we got our foot in the door with Chesapeake, it was because the company was trying to come in at really nothing and push everyone out, and they ended up getting stuck with the rate and losing money, and we ended up taking over. There's a lot of issues, and there's a lot of things that go on, but there's no secrets. And Prairie is, personally, I still say, our goal here is to own it all. I mean, I want to have everything and have Wyoming and field services and crew. And I know that, there's things I'm not blind to. We need to replace some trucks. We've got a lot of things that we need to do. But that's what I'll say, too, on the volume. But don't be naive. You guys can see what's going on. I'm not going to talk to you like your children, but then don't come squawking about stuff you see going on either. I mean, I got people that come and complain to me all the time, and they know the answer. They just don't like it. Look, it's tough right now. That's just a fact. That's why we need to step up and be professional and provide the best customer service we can. Make it whatever these people are paying for, make it worth what they're paying. And, we do a lot of extra stuff. We have field supervisors out there that are gauging tanks and doing all these things and talking with producers and doing samples and all the stuff that we send the customers that is really kind of above and beyond. And there's other companies that come in that don't have the overhead. They have less. They can charge less because they just have a couple trucks. But they don't do all that extra stuff. Weather. As horrible weather is a tough storm. Visibility was horrible. We've talked about it. I won't beat it up. Obviously, we need to do some catching up. But, you know, I appreciate... I didn't see anything unreasonable. Like, I will tell you, you know, a year and a half ago, we had bad weather. You could just sit by the phone and take the calls of everybody calling in sick. And it's like no way in the world do that many people get sick the same day. And it used to just torch me. I just wanted to come in and fire everybody. It's very frustrating. I know it sucks to be out there in these conditions. But what I'm really proud of is I don't see that happening. I see you guys trying to do it. If we can't do it, if it's legitimate. I mean, we just can't be out there. The roads were closed. But you know what? People were calling in to check. Do I need to come in? Do I need to? And I was really proud of it. And, you know, no, we can't. The roads are closed. But, you know, it does give you a sense of, you know, security to know that the drivers are checking and the mechanics and the dispatcher and everybody's ready to go, even though it sucks. And I appreciate it because I can tell you there's a lot of producers and customers that don't really care about all the obstacles we have to overcome. They just want the oil moved, and they know it, and they want us to be safe. But for the most part, if we can operate safely, we're going to operate. And that may mean we go way slower. May mean we get 2 loads instead of 3 or 1 load instead of 2. We got to chain up, like Kyle said. But if we can do it and do it safely, we're going to do it. Already touched on that. I don't think I really have anything else. The demurrage is the last thing I'll say, and the demurrage has improved greatly. The notes have improved a lot, and I appreciate it.
What are you looking for exactly on the notes?
Just the documentation. So, like, the biggest thing I was seeing is trucks in line. Well, what I need to know then, if there's trucks in line, is it Prairie Trucks or is there other companies in there?
Okay, so we need to state who's in line ahead of us. 'Cause when I usually put 4 trucks ahead of me in line.
Yeah.
5 trucks, 2 trucks, whatever, and that's all I ever put. Is that good enough, or do you want 1 truck?
I don't think you need to do a list, but I would just say, is it Prairie Trucks?
If you see RMAC
Yeah.
or...
I would just say the other company, because, and the reason, so you understand the rationale behind that, is what we get hit with when we submit the bill for the demurrage, and everybody just said trucks in line. They just assume they're Prairie Trucks, and they say, well, that's your fault. That's a dispatch error. Your truck shouldn't all get there at the same time.
So they're just looking for a fight not to pay the
I don't know that they're looking for a fight. If they're
Well, that's just
well, they do have a
maybe
point.
that's overspeaking a little
If
bit.
it's all Prairie Trucks,
Right.
they have a point. Now it's hard when you go out for a whole day's work to come back and be on some specific
We all
hours.
understand they're in it for the money. too.
Yeah.
They're trying to
Kim,
get
did
it.
you have anything?
Yeah, 2 things. One is I just want to remind everybody, step 1, if you guys have not set up your company email, you need to do that. We have sent out multiple communications lately, especially with your open enrollment. Open enrollment ends on Sunday. So you guys need to make sure to get all of your open enrollment stuff done by then, or else some of your benefits might cut off and you won't have those next year. If you have questions, if you don't know what you're doing, if you need help, please come and see me. I can help you set up your emails, but emails first, do your open enrollment. It's all stuff that you guys have to do. So
You have to do that on ADP, right?
yes, open enrollment, you have to go into ADP and accept stuff. It's not passive.
Even
You
if it's
can't.
not even.
Correct. You cannot just let it ride because we have made changes. So, for example, if you don't do anything, you will not have eye insurance next year. And if
Eye
you,
insurance, what's that?
the vision insurance.
Oh.
Yeah, vision
Oh,
insurance.
eye insurance.
Yeah, eyes. Sorry. You don't have vision
I'm a little
insurance.
slow.
And then also, if you have an HSA and you don't go in and confirm that, you will not have your HSA again next year. So you do have to go in. It is not just passive. So, Kyle?
Yeah, I got one.
Variance.
Hey, can all you guys come in here, please?
Lots of seats in the middle.
We got the middle guys.
Church pews.
I don't know if you guys all realize how much Alan actually does for us on a daily basis, and how much time and energy and effort he puts in on a daily basis. I mean, half the time the guy sleeps 2 hours a day. He's always concerned about each and every one of you. Us. This is what he cares about. He cares about us and making sure that we are all good. So, we want to recognize Alan.
I hope there's a gift card attached.
$25 at Shell Station. Alan, we as your management team would like to recognize you and thank you for everything that you do for Prairie, for us as individuals, and for making Prairie the best damn trucking company to work for. Here's what some of the managers have to say about you and your efforts to help us all become the team we are. You have mentored me and several others by sharing your knowledge and skills of managing people. You have molded me into a true manager and have continued to challenge me and bring out abilities I did not know I had. You go the extra mile and have learned all the ins and outs of the business, so you have an understanding of what all your departments do. Without you, I would not be successful as I have become. Thank you for being a part of my career. Thank you for your guidance and tutelage when entering the safety world and transportation company. Learning from you is easy, and you make the process not only educational but fun. Your trust in me to be able to handle situations thrown at me gives me the tools to do my job in the way you would want it done. Your experience is shared to all of us. Not only does this make us stronger, it builds the team. Thank you for your support and leadership. Thank you for personally believing in my abilities, knowledge, and integrity, and giving me the tools, encouragement, training, and opportunity to grow both professionally and personally. Thank you for listening with an open mind and encourage diversity and new ideas. Thank you for the sacrifices that you have made, the generosity that you've shown to all employees, and just doing what you do. Alan, you see the potential in people where others may not. You utilize your position to offer opportunity to people who may not otherwise have a chance. As the COO, your focus is to make sure Prairie succeeds, and in doing so, your priority is to help each individual employee at Prairie be all they can be. Your integrity, leadership skills, and role model qualities are a true inspiration. You show me on a daily basis how important it is to not only succeed myself, but to help each and every one of us at Prairie succeed. Your confidence and trust in my abilities have given me more self-confidence and drive to do better each day. Your dedication to your employees and Prairie is tireless and truly impressive. You strive to make us all a better team daily, and your efforts are truly appreciated by me. You are a great leader of our team, Alan. I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for putting the time and energy to help me grow and become a better manager. You have given me the confidence to believe in myself and the motivation to actually change my life for the better. Since you have been here, you have encouraged us to be better than we are, and you have shown us that it's possible. Alan, you believed in my abilities when no one else did. You vouched for me regardless of others' opinions because you recognize the potential in me. You hold me accountable, always pushing me to the next step above simple average or getting by. You are constantly straightforward. One of the things I admire most about you is your willingness to simply have a conversation to hear what I have to say. You are constantly going out of your way to help regardless of the situation. Your heart is sincere, not only for me as an employee, but also for me as a friend and a Prairie family. I cannot thank you enough for the guidance and support you've given me personally. Thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do for your Prairie family. As a team, we recognize that you put in endless hours and give up your own personal time to make sure employees have a job to come to every day. You go above and beyond what you are required to do, and your selfless commitment to your team and Prairie employees shows day in and day out. Thank you.
Thank you. It would have been pretty embarrassing if I missed this meeting. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and that is my family. I love everything about Prairie, and I want to see us go into the future strong. So it's kind of like Gilby's talking and the gossip. Like, don't let that stuff bother you. I'll always shoot straight with you. If there is something going on, I'll tell you about it. Don't buy into it. I know that stuff seems to circle around. I hear the same thing. Sometimes it gets specific, like we're getting bought out, and they'll say who's actually buying us, and all that stuff. It's never even been close to the truth, and that stuff circles around. Right now, we're in a good position. What we're feeling, everybody's feeling, and I think they're feeling it more than us. And at the end of the day, all this may be an opportunity. So I appreciate everything all of you guys do, and I thank you managers for your kind words. Yeah, Bobby.
About Shell, if we're gonna pick up all Shell in January, now did they lose a lot or something to other people as far as Shell themselves? Or are
So
we getting-
my understanding of who was hauling Shell was Pilot, Hoffman, and us. And it is not a whole lot of volume because most of what Shell has is already, pipeline on the pipeline. But there's some Wamsutter and up in this area.
Nice.
Pilot Douglas got 30 days, they're done.
Which is why I waited till now to say something because obviously Shell wanted to talk with them before we said anything. As like I said, it's not a ton of volume, and Shell has been obviously we've had a close relationship with Shell for a long time. And for me, they're easy to deal with, easy to work with. Yeah, they have a pretty high expectation of safety, but that's why they chose to go with Prairie. And from Shell's perspective, I hope you guys understand, this says a lot about Prairie. Most companies are afraid to do this, and the reason they're afraid to do it is they get burned. If something happens with Prairie, now what do? There's no backup. There's no other company. And most won't do that. Any producer out there has 2 or 3 or 4 providers depending on their volume, and especially with the customers that need to get the oil moved, they make commitments to the pipeline. So for a company to do this just with one trucking company, it puts a lot of faith in us and a lot of trust in us.
Who's the main producers for Shell then?
I'm not even. Well, I guess I know a couple, but it's
It's the usual.
very
Yeah.
K-Field, stuff like that?
Chaco, Black Bear,
Oh, okay.
That'd be awesome.
some EOG.
We are not in a position to be real choosy. No. So, anything else?
I want to make this announcement too. Gold hats for anybody that wants to put in for the day shift gold hat position. It will be on Kyle's door. Put your name on it and set up for an interview. And if you have any questions about it, talk to your supervisors.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Short service employee, if you've been employed with PFS for less than 6 months, you're considered a short service employee. Please see a member of safety field safety team. Go over any IVMS alerts, schedule training, or any other questions that you may have. Hey.